All right. It's funny how technology just gets in the way. Well, good to see everyone. Just looking through the list of who's joined us. Awesome to see so many friendly faces, friendly names. Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone to the Dashboard Dojo. My name is David Carnes. Today in the dojo, we're going to talk about the Salesforce Spring 23 release, specifically the report and dashboard features. The spring release is already in the progress of going live. There are some lucky folks that have that first wave, the first weekend of the release window. Typically, the releases go out across a number of weeks. Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, might even be a month. I don't have it in my head, but what Salesforce does is upgrade different sets of Salesforce servers, and you can find out which weekend your set goes live. Also, with these releases, it's helpful to know that some of the features don't go live right away. Specifically, what I want to show you first around the enhancements to mobile, the mobile app for reporting, that'll actually go live February 13th, regardless of which org you're on. But anyway, welcome to the dojo. So if it's your first time with us, just to quickly share, dojo is a place to learn the way. I lived in Japan for a number of years and just loved seeing martial arts dojos and this thought of people of all different skill levels learning together. So this is the origin story. We have over 30 hours of recordings. Our recent episode, we had Evan Ponter join us as our guest. If you haven't seen Evan's work around reporting, he really does some deep thinking and innovative work, which he shared with us in that last dojo session. And you can see the looks like I didn't put the QR code on here, but I'm sure Kyle's got it in the chat. It's just on the Dashboard Dojo site. There's a recordings link, and you can see all 30 plus hours of recordings, including this most recent one. So we'll do a quick introduction. We'll dive right into the list of new features. I'll share a little bit about OpFocus, where Kyle and I work, and our upcoming training. And then we've got 3 more dojo sessions scheduled. We'd love to have you join us. We'll talk about that. Kyle and I will keep our eyes on the chat throughout. So if you want to throw a question into the chat, we might even ask you to come off mute and ask your question, but we'll try to stay on top of those along the way. All right. So those of you that have attended dojos before, I know I've shared that we got a puppy last year, and he just had his first haircut yesterday. So he is literally half the size he was just a day ago. And it's such a weird thing that he looks so tiny compared to, so he's probably about 60 pounds. I don't think he looks it there. But again, my name is David Carnes. I'm the chairman of OpFocus, really proud to be part of the Salesforce MVP program. Kyle and I work at a company called OpFocus. We work with SaaS companies to optimize revenue operations. All right, Kathy, I agree. And Sherry, thank you. Yeah, he is very cute. And they put a necktie on him at the grooming place, which we all laughed about. All right, so let's dive right in. So we're going to talk about the Spring 23 release today in the dojo. The QR code here on the screen is to the release notes. If you haven't looked, there could be anywhere from 3 things in a release for reports and dashboards to this long list here. Interestingly, there are things in the release notes. There are things in the release that aren't even in the release notes, and I found one of them, and I think there are even a couple more. But before we do this, before I run through this list, I'm really curious for everyone who's joined us today, what edition of Salesforce are you using? Or are you on Essentials, Professional, Enterprise Edition? Kyle, do you think you could open up that poll for us?
Yep.
Now, the reason I'm asking is because at this moment in time, it's really important which edition you're using. And it's always been important. There are things that are just not available in Essentials or not available in Professional. Well, now there are some cool things that are not available at Enterprise. So right now we've got almost 20% of you, 15% that are saying that you're on Unlimited Edition. this is a great release for you. There's some good stuff that I'll show. Now, interestingly, I don't even have access to an unlimited edition instance right now. So it looks like we've got 17% on unlimited. So that's fantastic. 63% on enterprise. That's what I'd expect. And for those of you that have no idea what edition you're on, you could ask your Salesforce admin, or there's actually one place in the system where you can see it. And I'll show that to you right now. So if we go ahead and stop the sharing on the poll, and I'll dive into a dev org. Did you already share the results, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to make that go away. So in your Salesforce instance, if you scroll all the way down, and you may not even have visibility to this depending on the permissions in your org, but worst case, you could ask an admin. But under setup, company settings, company information, it used to not be on the page, but it is listed here. It says organization edition. Now, Salesforce has these 4. There was even a 5th for a while with the performance edition, which was above unlimited. And now more than ever, it dictates what comes in your Salesforce instance. So let's jump back over here. So we're going to talk about enhanced mobile reports. We did a full session in November on mobile reporting. So reports and dashboards on mobile. I'll include the QR code to the recording of that in just a moment. So that now is available. They said February 13th, but I'm already seeing it in one of the orgs I'm going to show you today. The next feature we'll talk about is personalized report filters. This is super cool. And, we've had the ability to do my filters on reports, but only on the owner field. So we've been able to do that for years. So if somebody owns a case or owns a lead or owns an account, you could say, just show me the ones that I own by using a my filter. Well, now we can do that on other custom fields that are lookups to the user object, and I'll show you about that. So the report and dashboard subscriptions, we can now create reports to show who's subscribed to what. And that's very timely because now Unlimited Edition offers up to 15 report subscriptions and up to 15 dashboard subscriptions per user. So that's a really big change. The rest of us, we stay at 7. So a little less than a year ago, Salesforce moved the number from 5 to 7, which was a big step for most of us. And then just in this release, Unlimited Edition is going all the way up to 15 report subscriptions, 15 dashboard subscriptions per user. There's a tiny little change that I feel like is long overdue. We'll say a quick moment of silence for a button that I wish was not there for years, but it finally went away. We'll talk about a feature called collections, and this collections feature requires that you use CRM analytics, but I do want to point it out because it is a cool concept. Another thing that's UE only, and I should have updated this slide, this filter report types by objects or fields, it was available to all editions in the beta, but it's another one that's only for Unlimited Edition in this release. So where you see the words GA, GA means generally available in software. So when you say a feature is going GA, it just means it's now released to everyone. Well, it's not to everyone. It's only for Unlimited Edition. That was confusing. I spent a bunch of time going, wait, what? I know I've played with this before. Now, the last update is another UE update, a UE only update, which is we now have 2 additional types of components on dashboards. So you can add text, you can also add graphics. And I want to show you that. And I had a last minute help when I realized, oh yeah, I can't set up a pre-release Unlimited Edition org. And a friend over in the UK kindly took a bunch of screenshots that I'll share with you on that. So why don't we go ahead and dive right in. So this enhanced reports on Salesforce Mobile. So again, there's the QR code. We did a whole dashboard dojo in November on Salesforce Mobile, and we talked about what's coming. Now, what's interesting, just to show you, I've got 3 screenshots here. On the left, this is what reports looked like on mobile 3 months ago. So it was very, very clumsy. There was no fixed header. And then there was this report highlights at the bottom, which included the summary columns down here and had some other information. Now, when they rolled out the beta, they removed that report highlights section and they put the summary columns up here. They put charts up here. I thought it looked really good. And if you had a chart, it would show right at the top. If you didn't, the header row, which is now a fixed header row, would appear at the top. This was such a huge upgrade. Like if you have users using mobile and using reports on mobile, we want to get them, and they say it's going live February 13th. So as of that day, perhaps the next day, you want to get them to upgrade the app on their device, which is simple on an iOS device. I'm not as sure on the Androids, but and then just log back in and they'll have this new reporting experience, which I really think is good. So what they ended up with is they actually moved the summary information to the top, and that's what we see in Lightning. They kept the fixed header, and then they also went back to having this highlights thing, but it's just for the chart down at the bottom. And if you click on this little line, it collapses it. So you can collapse or expand the chart if you want. So why is this important? Well, just the use of reports is fantastic now. It's so much better with the fixed header, easier to experience, has more mobile friendly features. It loads a lot faster. You just have better performance. And then there's just a different experience with text wrapping. So there's nothing you need to do to set up. It says February 13th. Let's see if this is still, if I can jump over to this. That doesn't look right. Let me just see if I can get back in here. All right, I'm going to stop mirroring and I'm going to start it again. For whatever reason, this isn't working as well. Come on, Bessie. Okay, so we're back. All right, so let's jump back here. This is my mobile phone. And I just wanted to show you what this looks like now. So you see how that header, when I'm scrolling in the report, I can also scroll left and right, and it's just a much nicer experience for end users. If you asked me 6 months ago about, hey, our sales team wants reports on mobile, I would say we're going to take your existing reports and we're going to rewrite them, have many fewer columns, just because it was so clumsy. This is a huge upgrade, in my opinion. So you see the summary row at the top, and then you see the report chart, which I can collapse and expand down at the bottom. So there are a number of other things with mobile that we covered in that session in November. If you're interested specifically around the 36-minute in that recording, that the QR code is here, I show some of the features. But again, it changed slightly between the beta and what's now been released. All right, so I'm going to stop talking for a second. See, Kyle, you put a few things into the chat. Okay, great. Let's keep going. All right, so I said this is a pretty cool, this may be one of the biggest things in the release, this personalized report filters, really depending on what you do in Salesforce, what you're using Salesforce for. So it allows you to apply a My filter to standard or custom lookups to the user object. So, I've seen this for years, that on an opportunity, you don't just care about who owns the opportunity, but you want to know who the executive sponsor is, or you want to know who the sales engineer is, or there's some other role that you want to put somebody's name in. Now, for some of these objects like opportunities, you could also use opportunity teams. So that is an option. There are organizations that don't use teams. There are certainly many objects in your system that don't have teams function. And this is a really nice use case for that. So this applies to all editions of Salesforce. And basically what you have is a special report filter available, and it's only on user lookups. So what I could do is I could add, so I created a custom field called Sales Engineer, and that field is a lookup to the user. And then when I create a report, I add that field as a filter. So that's the lookup to the user. And what you see is a choice here. And they use these words with dates as well, sort of for like relative dates. But in this case, we're going to use a relative value. And as soon as you click on that, what you get is a pull down value with the word the $ user. So what this means is whoever looks and runs this report, if they are listed as the sales engineer on any opportunities, those opportunities will appear. So let's take a look at this. I'm curious if anybody has, anybody on the Dōjō today has a use case for that, like right away. Has anybody been like waiting for this forever and it's going to make their life so much better? You know, the reality is for years, we've been able to just, as a sysadmin, write a formula field that does the same thing, but now we can do it directly on the report. So the report writer can just take care of it themselves. So I have a Spring 23 pre-release org open here. And if we go and look, I've got this sales engineer field. So I'm displaying the field, and you can see this lazy guy, David's the sales engineer on a few opportunities and the rest not. And if I come up into the filters, what I could do is go ahead and add a filter on that field, sales engineer. And you see the use relative value. Now, before this, I could hard code Bob and hard code Fred, which may not work for you. Separately, I could have created a custom formula field on the opportunity object that does the same thing, but this lets us do it right on the report. So I'm going to leave it at equals, and I'm going to say use relative value. And interestingly, it's a pull down. There's only one choice so far. And as soon as I saw this as a pull down, I'm like, ooh, I wonder if they could add other things like the user's manager or the user's role, other fields on the user object that might be meaningful. But what I can do is go ahead and select this user, click apply. This is now a my report where we're looking for opportunities where I am the sales engineer. So if I go ahead and run this, we should just see that short list of the handful where David is the sales engineer. So that looks like that worked. All right, so we've got a couple of comments here. So Peter says, lots of fields on opportunity to filter for writers and project managers. Excellent, totally, that's so cool. So Donna shared that they'd use it under CSR name instead of hard coding the person's name. Yes, sounds perfect, Donna, I agree. So Dustin says, I think I have formulas on most of my critical objects. Yeah, that was really the only way we could do it for so long. So Donna said, do you have to create a new field or can we use it on current fields? Great question, Donna. You don't have to create new fields. When this goes live in your org, suddenly you're just going to have a new filter type available where you can use this. And again, it only applies to fields that are of type lookup, which point to the user object. So Jessica asked, would this work on a dashboard on a homepage? I could now see opportunities where I'm the designated staff responsible. So Jessica, I absolutely believe that to be true. I haven't played with it, but it's the way that my filters have worked for years, where you could set up the My Sales Home and create a bunch of reports with my filters, embed them into a dashboard, and then stick it on the homepage. We could do the same thing here. So Tracy asked the question, could you use this for multiple users on one report? I'm going to say the answer is no, because of the $ user. So it's very specific to whoever's eyeballs are looking at this. Tracy, you know what? I'm going to correct myself because I'm going to think of, we always should keep in the back of our mind that there are these operators. So this isn't exactly what you're asking, Tracy, but my mind's clicking to, well, we have an equal operator here. What if I said not equal to? So it's everybody but that person. So that's multiple users, but it's not what you're asking, I'm sure. All right, so Peter asked, is this going to be added to view filters? You know what? I don't think so. And those teams probably sit on different continents. The list views and report how those things are filtered just seem to be done by very different engineering teams. But again, Peter, you could create a formula. So you could create a custom object, a custom formula field on a particular object that you want to do this on, and basically say, return true if the user who owns this is the current user. So return the word true, and then on your list view, filter for all of them that are true. That's how we would do that. All right, so I think this is a pretty huge change. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to see do they do anything other than $user. When I saw that pick list, my mind immediately went to, ooh, what else can we do? All right, so I shared that the number of subscriptions has gone up. Well, this is something that I think some of you that have heavy report and heavy dashboard subscription usage, it can be helpful to monitor like who's using this stuff. Well, we now have the ability to create custom report types, which allow us to then report on our subscriptions. So what you do is you create a custom report type on analytic notifications, and then you'd create a custom report on your report and dashboard subscriptions using that custom report type that you just created. And there are a couple of objects. So why don't I start this screenshot over here on the left. So this is obviously creating a new custom report type. And the primary object you want on all of these is analytic notifications. So once that, you could just use that and you'd see you could then create a report on all your report and dashboard subscriptions. Well, when I played around with it a little bit, what I saw is that there are these child objects. So there's one here called analytic notification thresholds. And what I liked about that isn't like, it isn't what I expected. What that is it a scheduled or is it using conditional? So when you set a report subscription, you could say, only send me this report when the pipeline goes beneath $1 million. And that this analytic notification thresholds, it really only adds one column. And I think I have it in my screenshot. Nope, of course I don't, but I'll show it to you in the org. It just tells you, is it one that has a condition or is it just one that's scheduled? Now, interestingly, we can even go to a third object here and we can add analytic notification actions, or we can even report on what the conditions are. So if you use that example of creating a report and you set a subscription to only send it to you if the pipeline value goes beneath $1 million, which could be traumatic for some companies, you could actually see that in a report, like, are there conditions set? So here's the simple example. I think this screenshot is just from a report on the primary object analytic notifications. Now, interestingly, what you see is the report name. If it's a report, you see the dashboard title, if it's a dashboard. And then there's this schedule cron expression. And, good luck reading that. But there's a little bit of clues in here. This 9, 23, 23, and 10, these are the hours of the day in military notation. So 23 is 11 p.m. And then at the very end, it's telling you how often this is happening. Is it the first day of a month, stuff like that, or the third day of the week, stuff like that. But you'd really need to play with it. I don't know if I didn't even look to see, is there a doc and help on cron notation? But anyway, let's go take a look in the system. So if we go behind the scenes, this is the wrong system. Let's go to this one. So if we go behind the scenes, you can see here, I created a custom report type called subscriptions, and I created another custom report type called subscriptions with thresholds. And if this is stressing you out, we're talking about something called custom report types. There is a Dashboard Dōjō from more than a year ago, it might even be almost 2 years ago, on how to create custom report types and what they are. So you could listen to that and you'd be up to speed on what we're talking about here. But these allow us to create data foundations that once they're saved, other users can create reports using these data foundations. So this is the only way to report on your subscriptions, is for somebody to come in here. Let's take a look at this one first. So I created a custom report type, and it literally just pulls in the one object, analytic notifications. You can come in here, and when you edit the layout of a custom report type, you can see what columns there are. So some of these columns aren't going to mean anything to you because they're specific to CRM analytics. So, I could say, I'm interested in always seeing the reports, and I want to see dashboards. And, not all these columns are going to be meaningful to you. The owner is, I believe, the person who's receiving it. So we might even change the word of that to subscriber, something. Oops, I could spell it correctly. That would be helpful. And why don't we add one more, the schedule cron. And so what I'm doing here is I'm saying these columns will be included by default. So as soon as I save this and I go back to the front end of the system, and let's just go create a new report. So we're on the reports tab, and I'm going to go back to my subscriber subscription report type. That's the custom report type we were just tinkering with. So if I select this, I can see that it has one object, the analytic notification object. I can see the fields that are available. So this is what came out last summer, that level of detail. But when we go create a report with this, we should see those 4 columns that I just set as default. And it relabeled what we did just a moment ago, is relabel the owner column to subscriber. So I did create a second one using that child object thresholds. And what it gave me was this one extra column threshold type. So I could see on schedule or on condition. And I had, so basically one subscription set up, which was based on condition. So why would you bother with all this? Well, if you have users that are like, I'm stuck, I can't subscribe to any more. Well, this is a nice way of, otherwise you kind of have to hunt and peck or log in as them to figure it out. This way, this gives us a way to just see, are users even using this at all, subscriptions? So Pamela asked a question, and we'll just kind of take a quick time out here. When filtering on the relative date this week, what day does the week start? I think it's Sunday, Pamela. And it's possible that your locale impacts that. I bet one of you could quickly search help on relative dates, and it'll define within the relative dates, because there is a list. So, just pulling this up in help. This is such a great topic. I think it's still called relative date values, but it's had like 10 different. So there's a page in help called relative date filter reference. And what we can do, so it says starts at 12 a.m. on the first day of the current week and continues for 7 days. Aha. So this may be pulling from your locale, whether your locale says that the week starts on Sunday or Monday. But I believe in my locale, it's always been Sunday when it starts, I believe. And somebody can contradict me, and I'd be very happy if they did. All right. So I mentioned earlier that Unlimited Edition now supports up to 15 report and dashboard subscriptions. Very excited about that. So Enterprise Edition stays at 7 subscriptions per reports and per dashboards. Does anybody know the reference, the feed up in the top right? Somebody throw it into the chat. What is that reference? I know one of you is going to get it right away. Or maybe I'm just older than everybody. Thank you, Bruce. All right, Bruce, I knew you'd get that. Awesome. Yeah, so Ding Dong, the witch is dead. So, this button to me has just been like the bane of my existence for years. Like it was this weird in between, not quite classic, not quite lightning. So for years we've had this extra button, and it's been default in all these orgs, right? This new report, Salesforce Classic, that button has now gone away. Prior to this release, you could check the box in setup. I've got a screenshot over here on the left where you could hide the embedded Salesforce Classic report builder, but now the button is just gone. It's time. It was really time like 2 years ago, but I'm not saying that. So Luke said the video for Pink Floyd's The Wall. Oh, maybe. The Wicked Witch, thank you. Ding dong. That's great. Well, you guys getting the reference. All right. So I feel like this is a big moment to just sort of leave Classic behind. It's time. So Donna asked the question, did I say that Enterprise Edition would only stay at 7? Yes. And, Salesforce is, over the last number of years, the sort of reason to move up to Enterprise was sort of weakened in a few ways. When you move to when you move to Unlimited Edition, you get a full sandbox. That's one big thing. There used to be other things, and I'm sure there still are, but what Salesforce is intending to do this year is, with some of these cool new features, just have them be unlimited only. So it's unfortunate the move to 15 subscriptions is only Unlimited Edition. All right. You know, we should have done a poll like who's using CRM analytics. I was really excited when I saw this, and it's not really clear in the release notes, but you need to have CRM analytics to use this next feature, which is called collections. So you can basically handpick your best stuff, which could be reports, it could be dashboards. You can then share them with users in the form of collections. So, you know, you could basically curate for the leadership team these two things from the marketing reports, this one sales dashboard, and these couple of things from the support organization. You could put them into a collection called the executive collection, but it does require a CRM analytics license. So in order to use this, you have to enable the unified experience for analytics home. There's another feature that looks like it's enabled by default, which is to show preview thumbnails for reports and dashboards. And I think that's a good thing if you're going to use this, to make sure that that's enabled. So to use this, you'd actually have to check both boxes here. This is under setup, feature settings, analytics, report and dashboard settings. You'd need a sysadmin to go ahead and check the box. But once you do that and you go to the analytics tab, we can use this thing called collections. And I'm curious, has anybody tried this yet? Anybody maybe can share in the chat. We can see here in my screenshot that this is what it looks like to add a new collection. You can give it a name, give it a description. You can choose the color. It's very exciting. Once you've saved that, then you can go ahead and add items to your collection. If you can get to this screen but can't add items, it may be because the Enable Unified Experience for Analytics isn't checked. That box has to be checked in order to select and add items to a collection. That's what I've discovered. But you can see here in my screenshot on the bottom right that I'm adding a report and a dashboard into this sales reporting asset collection. So Tracy asked the question, can you view it if the company has CRM license, but a specific user does not, or must everyone have one to see? I have a feeling you're going to need CRM analytics licenses to be able to, that users to be able to use collections will have to have those licenses. So this is where things start to get murky, right? Because Salesforce gave us this exciting new tab. It's still in beta. I think it looks like we're looking at the summer release, that the analytics tab will finally be set free upon the world. There's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot going on with this tab, the ability to interact with reports, interact with dashboards, and your CRM analytics assets all on one tab. The search is much more sophisticated than we've experienced before. There's some other things that are CRM analytics specific here. We can see the collections feature, and I have 0 items in it. I'm going to go ahead and add some items. Looks like I didn't save it before. And am I in the right org? Maybe I have to type in the word sales. Yes, I do. Okay, great. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of sales related things. Looks like there's one dashboard in here. I'll go ahead and save that. And I'm limited here because I haven't created any CRM analytics assets. Otherwise, I'd see them. I'm going to go ahead and add these into, and now you can see the 3. Now, for whatever reason, it looks like they've added the preview. That's not a preview. Huh. So this isn't really a session focused on the analytics tab, but you can notice there's some interesting things, and this ties into one other feature that's not a feature, but a change that's not documented in this release that I think has to do with what we're looking at right here. Do you see how we stayed on the analytics tab, but we're looking at a dashboard? So with this consolidation of reports and dashboards into this new tab, we have breadcrumbs here to say we're looking at a Lightning dashboard. This is the dashboard, but if I want to get back to where I just was, which was the collection called Sales Reporting Assets, I have that breadcrumb that I can get back to it. Now, what I'm not seeing is the preview. Like, to me, this isn't a preview. This is just an icon. But if I come back under setup, I'll put my sysadmin hat back on, come back under setup, go to feature settings, go to analytics, go to reports and dashboards, go to report and dashboard settings. Now, down at the bottom of this list, it says show preview thumbnails for report and Lightning dashboards. And that's where I would think it would be. It would be within the collections, but I don't know if it's not turned on yet or what. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but so that's collections. I could see this being super valuable if you have CRM analytics assets and you have reports and dashboards. And this allows you to essentially share across folders. The other thing that you can do is you can pin a collection, you can hide a collection. So if I come back in here and go to that, I can edit, I can delete, I can add. Let's look at the sharing feature. This looks familiar, that you can share with users, groups, and roles. And they can have viewer, editor, manager. Those almost looks like folder permissions. Oh, here's the thing that I was looking for, is the pin to home, that you could essentially pin this. And I'm not really expecting to see it here, but it's this home. It's the analytics home, where this is now pinned right up here at the top. It's not the home tab. It's the analytics home where this is pinned, and you can see the pin icon next to it. All right, let me come up for a second. Any other?
There are two questions in the Q&A.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I'm looking at chat. All right, so Alexander asked, you may be getting to this, but how are collections different from CRM analytics apps? Oh, that's so great. Such a great question. I think that they include reports and dashboards, Alexandra. I think that's one of the differences. I think too, the sharing model, and I think the ability to pin. But you're absolutely right that an app within CRM analytics allows you to collect a bunch of stuff like lenses and put them together. So it's a really good question. All right, so this is one of the funny ones, and I probably spent an hour earlier today. Oops, went right past. I probably went an hour. I spent an hour on this going, wait a minute, I know that I've played with this before. And I played with it in my dev org, which was an enterprise edition dev org. And what I couldn't figure out was it's unlimited edition only. So basically, and why they would do this on this feature seems silly. But that first step, when you go to create a new report, you're asked to pick a report type, right? This is like the most important decision. People describe this as this is your first filter on the report, that you're actually choosing what data am I going to report on. There are about 75 or so standard report types. You might have hundreds of custom report types. This is a big decision. And what Salesforce has given us, and it's now generally available, is this filter over on the right, which allows you to filter and say, you know what, I just want to see report types that have the account object and the opportunity object, and also fields. So this is an old screenshot. It doesn't show you the field capability, but you can search objects or fields. I don't know why this is unlimited only. This would be useful to all of us. Maybe the thought is that in an unlimited edition, you can have more custom report types. I'm not sure. But I didn't realize this until this morning, and I don't have an unlimited edition org to show this to you. So sort of a bummer. When this came out in beta last year, I could do it because it was available for enterprise. I thought it was a little clunky. It didn't work exactly the way that I would have thought. It seemed to be focused on primary objects. It didn't seem to work on both standard and custom report types. There were just a couple of things. Like, look at this screenshot here. I've got account and opportunity objects. I know there are standard report types that have that. So that right there is confusing. So this could be old. Maybe it was opened up to standard report types. But when this came out last summer, it was sort of a moment that it just wasn't, uh, to me, that's like half built. But anyway, so Carol asked a great question. Is the analytics home useful without CRM analytics? So, Carol, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that we're going to approach a time where people are going to make the decision to just not use the report tab or the dashboard tab anymore. We're a ways away from that, and some companies may just never get there because people are so used to separating out report and dashboard tab. But the direction of the analytics tab is that it's going to have those two things plus more, and the search capability is more sophisticated than what you get on either one, and that's going to be significant. You have the ability to browse, you have favorites. Some of these things like notifications, watch list, and connections are only, collections, not connections. These are only related to CRM analytics. If you don't have CRM analytics licenses, that stuff doesn't show up. But there's still a lot there for, I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate. Oh, so Nicole's sharing, I've tried using the analytics tab, but it doesn't play well with console apps. I totally bet that's true. I totally bet that's true. Thank you for sharing that. So Chris said, I'm in my unlimited dev instance and I'm not seeing the analytics tab and I can't find it. Yes, you need to enable it. So you need to turn on the analytics tab. And the way to do that, Chris, is to go under setup. Let me find my backend. So if you go under setup, feature settings, analytics, reports and dashboards, report and dashboard settings, there is the enable the unified experience for analytics home. There's another place you can turn it on if you're really interested. You can go under setup, analytics, which is for CRM analytics, go under settings, and the same checkbox appears under here as well, if you need two places to go check the one box. So then you need to do one other thing, Chris. So Chris is saying he still doesn't see it. Well, you don't see it because you haven't gone looking for it, probably. So up here in the top left corner, you have the waffle, which is essentially your launch pad. And you could come in here and either type in analytics and you'd see the tab under items, or you could just view more. At the top of the page, what you see are all your apps, and then down below you can see all your items. So so hopefully that helps you find it, Chris. So Donna shared, I have the analytics tab. We'll start using this more often. We have enterprise edition. Will it work okay? Yes. Yep. I like it. It's still in beta. It's been in beta for a couple of releases. This is the direction that Salesforce is going. It very well will go live GA in the summer release, and hopefully we'll have a few more goodies. All right, let's get right back on track. So one of the things I'm really excited about is the ability to add text and graphics to dashboards. Now, believe it or not, in Classic, for years, we could add graphics and text to dashboards. So this isn't really like that new. What we could do in Classic was we could use a Visualforce element, and you could even embed a YouTube video way back when in a Salesforce dashboard. And it was fun to do stuff like that. So what they've given us in Unlimited Edition only is the ability to add a text. They've changed the word from component to widget. So you can have a text widget or a graphics widget. I kind of wish they just kept the word component. Like, why not just use component and say that it's a chart or a table, text, or an image? I don't know why. Leanne over in the UK, I actually asked her about the word widget because I wasn't sure if it was a locale thing. Is that like a translation? Because component has some other meaning, and lift and elevator and stuff like that. But nope, it went from component, which is what it's been for years, to widget, which again, I don't think is necessary. So if you have Unlimited Edition and you've made the move to the Spring 23 release, you can submit a case with a feature request, a feature enablement request to use this this new beta. So gives you the ability to have text and graphics on a dashboard. So you can see here, Happy Wednesday team is a text right in the middle of the dashboard. And then we have this nice Salesforce teddy bears over here on the right that we can put on a dashboard. Now, Leanne didn't stop here. She knew that I'd be interested in the behind the scenes stuff. And what she did is she created a little document to show how this works. So when you're editing a dashboard, instead of the plus component button, we have the plus widget. You can choose the one you want. And if you choose text, you get an add text window. You get some rich text capability. You can size the font, color the font. I don't know why you'd use strike through, but maybe for some reason. So if you add your text and you choose to change the color, this is something we see in other parts of reports and dashboards. It's like 32 or so colors, and then you have the ability to choose the custom sub tab and choose from millions of colors. If I keep going down, we can see that we're ready to go. Click the add button, and then it just gets added to the page. To add an image, we can click the add widget. Again, select image. You can browse, you can drag a file, browse through your files, and it looks like it accepts a number of image formats. When you've selected one, click add. You have the ability to stretch, tile, fit width, fit height, etc., to squeeze your photo in. There is a tooltip option. I don't know that she got hers to work just yet. And you can also have alt text if you want. And she described this as a lovely image. That's awesome. So that's it. I mean, this is unlimited only. In my opinion, this just expands our range, that is the types of solutions that we can add. Just see if there are any other questions in here. Maybe the name was changed to Lightning Component. Yes. Do you know, the whole wording thing, it's just been, kind of a mess within Salesforce. You think of, in systems, you think of the term reserved words. There are the words that you can only use once, and you have to use it this way. Well, Salesforce has just not adhered to that in some ways. So I totally agree with that confusion. But then why is it not widget when I go edit a dashboard in, so if I come edit a dashboard in my, maybe it's changed and I just haven't seen it yet. Let's go. Let's edit the dashboard. Nope, still says component. So I guess I don't understand why change it in one, not the other. All right. And Donna asked to confirm unlimited edition only is for the ability to add graphics and text to a dashboard. So this is to get people to buy the more expensive licenses. All right. So the last thing I thought to share, just as an undocumented thing that I noticed, and you may notice too, if you've enjoyed inline editing of reports, what you've had since this went live is the ability to hover over a field. If it's of a data type that's editable, you see a pencil to the right. You click on the pencil for any of the fields you want to edit, and you can essentially do multiple field. So it's multi-field, multi-line editing, and then you click a save button. Now, something has changed in this release, that the pencil has gone away, and instead you have to click a button to put it in the mode. So to get it in the mood for inline editing, you have to click the button. And I'm wondering, is this a performance thing, or maybe it had to do with how things run within the analytics tab, and that movement to using the analytics tab, which runs things within its own tab. And maybe that was necessary. I don't know. But let's see. So Maida said that they use widgets. Oh, so I mean, definitely the report and dashboard and the CRM analytics teams roll up to Tableau. So there could be a consolidation of language because of Tableau. I didn't even think of that. Thank you, Maida. So Katie said, is there a setting you can save, or will users need to do it every time they open a report? Every time they open a report, they're going to have to click the button to get it in the mood to do inline editing. So here's the old way. If I'm just running a report, of course, none of these fields. Oh, here's one here. You see how there's the pencil, and I could click on the pencil, make my change, just change the date, and then I get a save button, and I can do multiple fields on a row and multiple records, doesn't matter, and I can click save. So in the new edition, if I come run a report, and let's go to the front end, let's go run a report. I thought for sure I had, how odd. Okay, I do have one at the top here. And I just wanted one that I knew that a bunch of columns. So I get no pencils. I have this button here. I have to click the button. Now I'm in the mood to edit, and I can, change that field and change this field and stuff. And I have my save button. So that's the only thing that changes. You just one extra click, essentially. All right. So as a recap, this is Spring 23. We first talked about the enhanced reports on mobile. That's February 13th. That's going live. Personalized report filters allow us to do a my filter on any user lookup, any objects, custom field, standard field. It allows you to do a my filter essentially in reporting. So totally awesome. We had the question, is that available on list views? The answer is no, to my knowledge. So we can report on report and dashboard subscriptions. Unlimited edition users can now subscribe to up to 15 reports and up to 15 dashboards. That's a huge change. We got rid of the classic report button. We can add reports and dashboards to collections if you have a CRM Analytics license. We can filter report types when we're searching for, when we're creating a new report, searching for a report type, we can filter it by objects or fields, again, UE only. And then we have the ability to add text and graphics as a beta to dashboards, UE only. So my big question is, does anybody notice a trend here? There seems to be a trend in features being, pay to play for some of these features. So I'm excited to see all of these. It saddens me a little bit that we're not all going to have them. I guess those of you that are on today's call that have professional edition, you're already used to that. You've already bumped up against some of the features that aren't available. Before we wrap up, I'm teaching a class 2 days on reports and dashboards, February 15th and 16th. So that's coming right up. We're doing it virtually. Got the QR code for that if you'd like to join. We have 3 upcoming Dōjō sessions if you'd like to join us. So February 8th on standard report types. This is overdue. I should have done this 2 years ago in the Dōjō. There are about 75 or so standard report types, and a lot of us just don't venture into that list of standard report types. Like, what are they for? There are a lot of special features tucked into some of these standard report types, and I want to talk about some of the system generated formula fields that are available, some of the filtering that's available. It's just some neat stuff that's available in the standard report types. So that's February 8th. Then I thought to copy something that Automation Hour, our friends over at Automation Hour, have done on February 22nd, March 15th, doing just, hey, let's take one big giant step back. Let's start from 0. And let's do 2 sessions on let's look at it with fresh eyes. So if you've reported for years, maybe you're still on Classic looking to make the move to Lightning, we're just going to focus on Lightning and just focus on getting going with Salesforce reports. So those are both available. Before we wrap up, if there are questions, any other questions, I'm happy to. Thank you for putting that in the chat, Kyle. So Kathy asked the question, is there a recording or future session on duplicate reporting? Oh, great question. I feel like we've got to do a session on duplicates. I don't have a lot of experience on that. Sometimes it's hard for me to create content on things that I don't have a lot of experience on. This feels like a really, really useful one. So I might have to do some research, manufacture duplicates, set up some stuff in a dev org, but I think that's a great topic. Any other questions or thoughts? So Donna asked, can we have a session on cleaning up reports and dashboards in general? Yes, Donna, we already do. In fact, it's one of the most popular ones we've had. Let me show you that, because I really was so happy that we did that. It was less than a year ago. It was last spring. So if we go on the Dashboard Dōjō site and go under recordings and we scroll back down, I think I called it spring cleaning, decluttering your reports and dashboards. I'm going to throw this link into the chat. This was one of our most popular sessions.
David, I just threw it in.
Oh, wow, you're wicked fast. All right. Thank you for doing that. So Katie asked the question, will the 2 session be more for admins or end users? It's a really good point. When talking about reporting, we have to talk to end users. There are a bunch of features that either you're going to have to turn on as a sysadmin, or you're going to have to know how to ask. So this is the class is oriented toward end users. But we're going to talk about things that if you happen to be a sysadmin, you're going to have to go turn on. Or if you're not a sysadmin, you're going to have to know how to ask to turn on those features. So I think it's valuable for both. This is talking about the 2-day class. So anyway, love to have you join me in class. That'd be fun. Any magic way to move reports between folders other than one by one? Yes, Maida, do you want to know a magic way to do that? Switch to classic. It's not a popular thing to say. Every now and then I'll do a webinar for Salesforce and they really don't want me to say, go back to classic. But in classic, you can move things faster. So let me show you. And excuse me for vomiting when we open up classic. I hate looking at this. But there are still a couple of good use cases for this. So in classic, let's say that I create a new folder. And I'm going to call this Blurf as my folder name. Hopefully I don't already have a Blurf folder. So in my folder, what I can do now is I can go grab items. And I feel like I could, you see how I'm dragging and dropping? For some reason I thought I could drag and drop more than one. Maybe I'm just missing it. It's been a long time since I've clicked back to classic, but that's still a lot faster. So Maida, I hope that's magic to you. Okay, so Katie asked, yeah, it should really give the ability to drag and drop in Lightning. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, alas, I don't know if they're going to get there. Pamela asked, any changes to the number of dynamic dashboards? Nope, unfortunately, not that I know of. And I don't know, it may be worth asking your sales rep, can you buy more dynamic dashboards? I have in the back of my mind that they might have sold those at one point, but I could be wrong. Awesome. All right, guys, we've hit the top of the hour. We're going to turn into pumpkins. It's been awesome having you in the dojo. Hope to see you next time. Thank you, Kyle, for hosting us. Really appreciate all you do.
Of course. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll hopefully see you in 2 weeks. Bye now.
Bye-bye.